Perfect. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Kristen with the Middleton Chamber. We're super excited to have you guys on board today for our on board, get it, session today. We are going to be going through EDDM and Informed Delivery with Tycee and Jen Braga and their marketing director. So just a few things to point out for you guys as we're going through today. We've been on a bunch of Zooms, but remember that microphone button at the bottom, it's got a slash, that means you're on mute. We would ask you to stay on mute for most of it until we open up for Q&A at the end. Same thing with camera. Would love to see your faces if that's an option for you where you are. That always helps with engagement to know you guys are out there. We are monitoring chat as we go throughout the day. So if you have a question, please feel free to type it in there and I'll do my best to ask those on your behalf. Otherwise, like I said, we'll be doing some Q&A at the end. Want to give a shout out to today's sponsors. Thank you to TDS and for Amplify Digital for helping the Chamber make these programs possible. We certainly appreciate their support. So with that, I would love to introduce Tycee's marketing director, Jen Braga. Tycee is a full service brand experience provider specializing in creating quality solutions for your brand, including print pieces, signage, retail displays, and packaging. They do vehicle graphics, facilitate branding, they have a fulfillment services, and of course they do mailings. So Jen, I'd love to turn it over to you.
Great, thank you very much for the introduction. I hope you all know what you're here for today, but we are going to be talking about both informed delivery and EDDM, using your mailings to increase local exposure and immediately increase your web traffic. So some of you may be using USPS tools already, but curious how many of you feel like you are using them effectively to promote your business, or how many of you already are using either of these tools. So I don't know if we could maybe just do thumbs up here in the chat or on your screen if you're using one or more of them. Oh, this is good news. I'm not seeing any thumbs up. Okay, cool. So we will get started. Both EDDM and Informed Delivery are offerings by USPS aimed at giving you a little more bang for your buck in bulk direct mailings, and they can increase awareness for your brand to prospects within the same household and allow you to increase traffic in store or online. Each benefits your customers as well, so it's important to understand the differences. EDDM stands for Every Door Direct Mail, and it's an incredibly beneficial tool for brands who anticipate having a lot of prospects within a localized area. It allows you to target based on zip code without having much additional prospect data. This could potentially reduce your mail prep costs and potentially reduce the number of versions you want to send out. Informed Delivery is a new-ish tool from USPS. I believe it came out in about 2019. They were piloting it and it was in use all throughout 2020. So we've got data on it as to how it's performing for a full calendar year. And it provides users with digital previews of their household mailings that are arriving soon. It can be a little confusing when it's discussed because informed delivery is both the feature and the business opportunity, which I'll get into a little bit later in the presentation. But basically it describes the application that users view their scanned mail on, and it describes the campaign tools that are available for B2C business owners. We will start with talking about EDDM. Based on the size of our group and the members of the chapter that I'm aware are joining today, I'm going to focus more on the retail option, which allows users to send between 200 and 5,000 mail pieces per zip code per day. The other option is the EDDM BMEU, which stands for Business Mail Entry Unit. This one has a lot of the same features available. It just requires more permitting and has greater registrations associated with it. So if you are more interested in sending more than 5,000 pieces per zip code per day, we can talk about that offline for some future opportunities, but today is just going to focus more on the retail offering. And it's still a really great opportunity. It effectively allows you to send up to 30,000 mail pieces per week per zip code, understanding that USPS is delivering Monday through Saturday. So now I'll share a little bit about how it works. When you log into USPS.com, you're going to see a screen like this when you navigate to the EDDM screen. And if you already have a login, you're great, you're set, you can go ahead and get started. If not, the first thing you're going to want to do is to create a login. So you'll do so by navigating to the top of the screen. And once you've registered, if you have a personal account, you can use that if that's what your business is associated with. But if you plan to send quite a bit through your business, I would recommend registering your business address as well, and just setting up an account through there. It'll make billing a little bit cleaner and just divides your home mailings from your business mailings. All right, so you get logged in, and then you're going to want to type in your address for where you might want to be mailing to. So this, I went ahead and put in Ticey's address. You can just include a zip code, and then you'll use it to search. You'll see that it will narrow in on the location that you've specified. And then you can start to see these kind of darker gray lines on the map. And each of these are either routes or zip codes, depending on the area you've selected. And as you start selecting more and more routes, they'll change color, and you'll see that they will start to add up in your order summary on the right side. So of course, I did this through screenshots just to make this go a little bit faster. So if I select those that I feel like are in the surrounding area and might want to just drop into Ticey and see what we're about, I've hit now 8 routes here, and it's starting to tell me how many delivery addresses there are. Now this is important because, as I mentioned, we're at 5,000 delivery addresses, 5,000 pieces per zip code per day. So if this number starts totaling over 5,000, it's just going to turn red for you, and then it's going to ask you to adjust what you're selecting. If you're looking at this and going, I have no idea what routes are going to be applicable or how do you select that, that's okay. Just wanted to share it is a way that you could use this feature, especially if you've got a lot of walking traffic, you might want to do it this way. Another opportunity, which may be more effective for the majority of you, is to use the table feature. So when I was on the map, there's a little button at the top that says show table. So click on that, and it's going to now tell me within the zip code that I'm looking at what the demographics are in general of each route I had selected. So I believe in this one, there were 14 total routes, and throughout there, I had selected 8 of them. So that was me clicking on the map, and now those lines are highlighted here. And each of these columns can be sorted so that you're able to, if you've got target markets that you'd like to hit, you can see, yes, I would like to send out residences, or I'd like to focus more on businesses, could sort in that way. It's going to tell you how many addresses are within that particular zip code. The age column is where it starts to get interesting, and you can really adjust who you're looking at. So if I were to click on the top of that header there where it says age 25 to 44, I can actually adjust my range and then, sort based on that range, or so that my columns will adjust here and tell me based on US Census data, the last census, how many individuals fall within that age range. The size would be average number of individuals in that household per zip code. And then the income is self-reported. So I would say just take that column with a grain of salt. And then it's going to tell you the cost of that route that you're choosing to mail to. I wouldn't create the number of mailings you want to put out based solely on cost, but if there's one you're on the fence on, you can definitely see if this is a cost-effective group you're going to decide to add on for this range or not. All right. So once I've picked all of my addresses, I'm comfortable. Yes, this is the group that I want to hit. This is the target I want to make sure that I'm mailing to. I'm going to see my summary and hit continue. From here, you're going to select a drop-off date. So the idea here is that you've got a set of mailings that you don't have any idea who they're mailing to, but you know that you want to hit local traffic around a certain area. And so you've still got to take all of those pieces to the post office to get mailed in. So I set this up on Monday, gives me starting on Monday, that's my first available time to be dropping these off. And I can go ahead and select a drop-off window at any point in there. And then I can choose to pay at the post office or pay online. I would recommend at any point checking the size of your mail pieces just to confirm that they can use this option. It's not extremely limited as to what can use EDDM, but there are greater limitations than just mailing anything from the post office. So just confirm that your pieces fall within these measurements and you should be good. Otherwise, you'll get to the post office and have to go through a refund. Oops, go back one. All right, so once you complete this item, which I could not go through all the way to show you a screenshot of what this looks like without actually paying for one, but you'll get a confirmation page, which is going to include a summary of the information pertaining to your order, which includes the total number of deliveries, the total order cost, the scheduled drop-off dates, and when you should drop off at each post office. And this might sound kind of simple or like it's an excessive amount of information when you see the confirmation page, but you can set up multiple mailings within the same window. So I could go through this entire process and select my routes, save this order. So maybe I want to drop off multiple times throughout the next 3 weeks. I could schedule them all at once. So then you may want to know, okay, I should send out mailing 1 in the first week of April and make sure I drop it off, because at the time you drop it off is when they're going to mail it out with the next mailing. So you may want to go ahead and schedule each week for the month and then just have that confirmation to know when you should drop off each piece. All right. So how does it work? The USPS processes the cost to mail your pieces in the pre-identified neighborhoods based on that tool that I just shared. This includes, again, business and personal addresses, which allows you to target without the legwork of identifying prospects with some of their basic demographic information. So your piece is sending to the physical mailbox, and it's possible that more than one resident at that mailbox will see your piece. So you as a business, sign up for EDM, you select your target markets. Once you're satisfied, you're able to complete your order and process the payment or defer until you drop off at the post office. And you can choose to print your pieces at this time using a printer like Tycee to go ahead and create a single or many versions. And then USPS will deliver your pieces through regular delivery routes. So it sounds like a pretty easy way to get started with direct mail marketing with a fairly low cost barrier. And although this feature has been around for a few years, at this point, we're seeing a resurgence in direct mail over the past few years, and it's proving that it's still a very effective marketing tool, especially for small businesses. So research as of 2016 shows that as high as 79% of consumers will act on a direct mail piece as soon as they get it. We've actually come to learn that there's a little more context needed to that number, mostly that this result is much more likely if it's at all applicable to them and they are financially or physically able to act on it. So that's where EDDM comes into play here, is if you send me something and it's right down the block, I'm physically a lot more likely to act on an offer in store or be more aware of your brand than if you decide to mail to someone who's across the country using EDDM. Not necessarily as effective. So with that comment too, I'll get into that with Informed Delivery in a couple minutes. But EDDM can be a really effective way to start your mailing campaigns. And then the 5 times more effective than email campaigns comment here is that we know that everything has been moving rapidly towards digital, is always available in digital markets now. But again, direct mail still carries a really big bang for the buck. Recent studies have shown that direct mail still has a purchase rate of roughly 5 times higher than that of email campaigns. And that means with the EDDM campaign, you could see a significantly higher rate without the legwork of buying or researching the email addresses. So as I kind of close up here on EDDM and before we get into Informed Delivery, I just wanted to leave this group with some suggestions if you have not used an EDDM campaign in the past, or you want some pointers to make your next one a success. Concise language with key calls to actions. Ensure that every word that you have on the page is applicable. Concise language counts, and those direct mailers with larger blurbs of text tend to not perform as well, specifically in retail settings. Now, if your goal is to inform your users rather than encourage buying behavior, such as a profile on one of your salespeople, or perhaps talking, a longer form story about work that you're doing in the community, take that point with a grain of salt. This next one sounds like a no-brainer, but we have seen some miss it in the past. If you're including any sort of discount or call to action on your card, direct them to a unique location, especially if it's a digital location. So if you are having a sale on a specific item, try and make that a unique location just for this mailer, or have a unique coupon code if it's something in store, so that you're able to see how many purchases or visits are a direct correlation to the mailed piece you sent out. Your EDDM mailing is preemptive. Your data is preemptive, meaning that you will not receive a report later to show how this campaign performed from USPS. Number 3 goes along with what I said in number 1. You're going to see a higher response rate in bold and short messaging, and that goes for your material format as well. Postcards and oversized flats do better than a folded sales letter. Think about it this way. If you have content contained inside the fold, you run the risk of a resident not seeing your entire message because they evaluate based on the outside and toss it, or it doesn't get opened in a timely manner. Depending on the amount of content and discounts you plan to offer, oversized mailers typically do a little better than a standard postcard size because they can offer tear-off coupon data as well as company information on a single piece. Finally, something to consider when you're going to do direct mail or target new prospects. And this is really important, whether we're talking about EDM or any marketing efforts. Research shows it takes an average or a minimum of 7 impressions for someone to remember your brand. And those 7 impressions are not over an entire lifetime. It's typically in a 12 to 18 month span. So depending on what you're offering on your mail piece, this could take longer for them to be convinced to purchase. Again, that seven number of times they need to see your brand is just an average minimum. And so I'm only bringing this up so that if you start looking into this tool, you're thinking about budgeting over the next 12 to 18 months, not just going, great, I want to get started on this for all of April, I'm going to send it out, and then be discouraged if you're not seeing a return. You should start to, as you are sending more and more, seeing more return per campaign, as long as you're actively targeting prospects that make sense within the right age ranges or are local to your business. Should go without saying, but Ticey would love to help and consult on any of your EDDM campaigns. If what I'm sharing here sounds great, but you feel like it's a little too complex, you don't want to try it on your own, or you'd like to walk through one with somebody, kind of a trusted partner at your side, we're happy to assist there. We can help you with the entire campaign. Or if you are like, this all sounds great, now I need my pieces printed, definitely give us a call. So I'm going to get into informed delivery next, but I let Kristen know that if we had any questions at this point, I could talk through those for EDDM, or you can save them for the end. It's up to the group, but I'll give them.
I think we have a couple so far. So Jen, just a point of clarification. So when you do EDDM with the post office, you don't have to give them a mailing list, right?
Correct.
They're giving you as kind of the list of people to target.
Correct.
Okay. And then there was a question too, does it cost to have a business account with USPS to use EDDM aside from the cost of the mailing?
So if you're doing EDDM, that's where I was mentioning earlier, if your business is going to be sending under 5,000 pieces per mailing, you'd use the retail format, which is what I'm going through here. And so no, you're not going to have a cost for doing your EDDM mailings as a business.
And so that cost that you showed on that other page, was that just for, that's just for postage, right?
That's your mailing using the campaign. Yeah.
Using the campaign. And so then the creative part of that is separate, right? Because that's where you would work with someone to actually create the thing that gets mailed.
Exactly right.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is, you're getting a bit of a reduced rate on postage because you're saying, USPS, you tell me who to mail to, you process all of this. They've already vetted these accounts that they can be mailed to. And so yes, you're paying for the postage, you're paying for the mailing here. And also I want to make sure on the first question, you're not actually getting a list of who you're mailing to. You're simply like the post office is doing it for you. So they're not returning back, hey, here's all of these 3,600 individuals. Now you have their contact data. If that makes sense, you're dropping off all of your mailings to be distributed to these residents or these households.
Okay. I think I've even seen some of these come in my mailbox. So usually it's more like a flyer, a postcard, and a little
Yep.
bit thicker paper. And I think even if you look where the stamp is supposed to be, doesn't it say, does
Yep,
it say
exactly.
EDDM? So just if you guys
Exactly.
be on the lookout for those, maybe next time you're at your mailbox.
Yes, pieces that use EDDM will have to have a special insignia for them. You're exactly right. If you have any questions about making sure your piece is designed appropriately to use this, we're happy to help answer those.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Then I think we are ready to roll to the next one.
Cool. So informed delivery is one that we at Ticey love to talk to our clients about. As I mentioned earlier, it's a little bit of a newer tool for USPS, but it's pretty innovative for them because they started using technology that they already had for imaging mailings and then essentially made it public facing so that consumers could get a better handle on what's coming to their mailboxes. So again, it's a service and it's the campaign that you could run. So it may get a little confusing in here, but it's all informed delivery. So if you have questions, feel free to, like Kristen, just stop me if they come up in the chat and I can help clear it up per slide. So everybody sees on screen a tablet view. Informed delivery is consumers sign up to receive a digital preview of their household mailing that's arriving to their mailbox that day or typically within 2 days. Mine are most often accurate for a single day, but every once in a while one will show up that actually ends up coming the next day. So your mail piece gets imaged again by USPS software. This was happening before they made this public facing, but they take a grayscale image during the processing of your mail pieces that are going onto the truck each day. And so on a typical day, this might be what you see. I have them emailed to me, but you can also opt to go to a dashboard to see this data each day. So again, this is from the end user perspective. That's great. I can see what's coming. Why is this a benefit? Not exactly sure. This is why it's a benefit. So I know I swapped images here, but essentially you would normally see what's at the bottom. That grayscale mailer tells me, it shows me the addressed side, may give me some data if the addressing spot is on the same side as the data about your company, but it may not be coming through as clearly or may not generate as much excitement if you have it in grayscale. So what informed delivery allows for is interactive campaigns. And so that means that when the mail piece is scanned, we can have it be replaced by a color image. So at minimum, it could be what's here at the top where you see new models opening this weekend. But you can also add ride along or supplemental content and images. And so these two images that are on here are individual. So you've got just the static image, but now it's in color. And if you use an interactive campaign, it will go to the top of the list of mailed pieces for the day. And then the ride along content is a live URL that the user can click from within their email and be taken to anywhere that you specify. So let's get into that a little further. How does it work? Just like a physical mailbox, the informed delivery feature is provided at a household level. So same with EDDM too. And it's based on a delivery point address. So multiple residents within the same household can sign up for this feature. And this is where it starts to get cool, is that in my household, we've got 2 adults. So we both have informed delivery, but now we both see the mailings that come to the house for the day. So if my husband is on a mailing list that I'm not on, you're now getting an additional recipient of your content. So a consumer signs up on USPS.com, and after the email address is provided and identity is verified, they ask a few quick questions. Then they're live on informed delivery. The mail piece is sent from whomever, and USPS uses existing processes to gather digital images of the exterior of the letter. And just to remind you, the piece that's imaged is going to be the part that has the consumer's or the end recipient's address on it. So if that's not the sexy part of your mailing, this is a really great time to maybe consider using informed delivery interactive campaigns. So then USPS automatically matches the mail piece to your informed delivery interactive campaign at the delivery point matching step in the process. So again, your piece is imaged, using automated processes. They determine it's going to go out on the truck, gets loaded with all of the other deliveries for that day. That's the point that your image gets applied. And I just added this as a comment of this is when your interactive campaigns are applied, because as a timing thing, it could apply your campaign. Let's say you had 12 zip codes be included with your campaign. It could apply it at slightly different time periods. So when you start looking at the data of who receives it and how well it performed, just something to keep in mind that it could be over several days that it's applied. Okay, so then USPS Informed Delivery notifies the user of mail arriving soon in email and or dashboard view. And then, so they're seeing your piece online before they're actually getting your piece. And then of course they would still get it through normal physical delivery. There's a few different reasons consumers are already using services like Informed Delivery, but a few key points here. 85% who are already using the service say that they're using it to anticipate what to look for or be more aware of in incoming mail. And so that tells you that this is already an engaged user base. Some reasons that they may want to anticipate what's coming: they're out of the country, they're traveling, they can't access their mailbox, they want to make sure they're not missing anything, or they need to check in. They want to keep a log of mail that they've received. Again, maybe they're away from home. They want to make sure that if it's not there when they physically get home, they're still able to see what came through. And again, through this ride-along content, they could take action on mail sooner via a digital preview. So these results are updated as of end of 2020, but of the, I want to say there's been about almost 2,000 mailers who have tested and run campaigns through Informed Delivery, which is about 80,000 campaigns over the last year and a half that Informed Delivery has been live. Across many industries, including insurance, e-commerce, retail, healthcare, et cetera. And it had, as of the end of last year, 35 million users of Informed Delivery, roughly 10% of the country. And they had a 77% average email open rate, which is probably a lot higher than you see on your own email open rates. And the reason there seems pretty simple, which is I asked to be on Informed Delivery. I want to see all of my data in one place. I'm far more likely to open that up versus opening 6 emails from retailers or from businesses who I know are going to send me a separate email. I want to see this because I want to know what's coming to my house, and you get the added benefit of being kind of stacked with anybody else who is mailing that day. So the enhanced call to action and the ride-along content that's available is driving a quick click-through rate of about 7.5%. So if all of this is sounding really exciting and you want to know what it looks like from the business side to plan your campaign and how it differs from a direct mail campaign, you still have to plan it. You still have to decide what you're going to mail out to people. You still have to consider what your target market is. That doesn't really change. But now you want to add in the step of where would we like people to go? Do we want to do that ride-along URL? Do we want to direct them to a specific place? And do we want to have a replacement image? Some people use the campaign, some businesses use the campaign and really just replace the grayscale image with the color image from their business. That's completely fine. But so when you're planning, you just want to consider how you want your recipients to act. You'll prepare your mailing, you provide your mailing details, and then when you send your mailing, that's the point again where you can start to see that the interactive campaigns get applied to your physical mailings. And then the benefit of this tool versus EDDM is that you're going to get data and insights out of this campaign. And so you can see not just how it's performing, when someone actually comes into your store or uses the code, but you can see some additional data like open rates and like click-through rates, even if it didn't lead to a purchase. All right, again, just wanted to give a bit of an update as to what Informed Delivery users look like. So we have, I think it's at 35 million or 33 million users across the US, which equals out to about an average of 19.8 saturation of eligible households. I do think there's an age limit on who can apply for this. So it is over 10% of the US population has it. And you can see here that your yellow areas are going to be the highest percentage of users, but it's really pretty evenly spread as to who uses Informed Delivery. And I'll get to the demographics in a moment of the makeup of consumers of informed delivery. At the bottom, I've also got a pre-campaign report, and I put this on the saturation slide because this is effectively what you're getting before you do your mailing. So with informed delivery, we can say we scanned a list of around 100,000, 103,000, and of that, there were 98, almost 99,000 eligible 11-digit zip codes. So perhaps in that campaign list, you didn't have an eligible zip code because they didn't have the full 11 digits, or it was a business. Things get filtered out for a couple different reasons. And so you see how many contacts would be eligible. And then you can see how many are subscribers within the eligible contacts. And then you can see who's enrolled in email versus dashboard. So the makeup of the users of informed delivery as a service, you can see demographics here, kind of a broad age range, kind of a almost even split on the gender spectrum. And then you've got your ethnic breakdown as well as average household income. So again, it's not giving you a ton of specifics on your exact mailing group. You don't have names and addresses here, but if you're building your target markets, you can start to see who you want to send to. I did also include for a much smaller campaign list, and this ran, I think in the Midwest was roughly where these recipients were. And we saw that even though it was only around 2,100, they had a higher percentage of those who would be eligible to receive the mailings. And then they also had a much higher saturation. So the number of subscribers within even just a small mailing made it worthwhile for them to want to mail out. All right, so once we've established a good location to use within the pre-campaign report, we ran it, you say, yes, I love that. That's a group I want to mail to. And that's how I want to see how my mailing performs with, again, those in this pre-campaign report. Then you're going to prepare your physical mail piece, and you already know how your printed campaigns have gone in the past, your direct mail campaigns have gone in the past if you've run them. So you can compare the information that you're gleaning from an informed delivery campaign against those. Are you seeing click-through rates? Are you seeing an increase in purchases if you send them to a specific location? You're again also going to see how many are opening the email but perhaps not taking action on it. And if you want to have an interactive link, again, this is optional. You can see how well that performs sending to a specific location. All right, so let's talk about how it helps your business objectives. What I've got on here are a variety of opportunities for ride-along content across many industries. So I know that these aren't necessarily applicable to every single industry, but you can send them to a unique discount code. I think I've talked about that quite a bit, or unique promotion. If you're a nonprofit, you can send them directly to a donation link, sign up for rewards or account activation within, if you're a retailer and you want to get a loyalty club going, you can have them sign up there. Same thing, credit store or credit card application or activation, send to that link. Any sort of upgrades, if you're working in insurance, you can have them do subscription renewals or policy claim bundling. If you're somebody who schedules a lot of appointments, you can direct them straight to schedule an appointment with you or set up a showing. And then this is maybe a little bit more for government affairs, but you could have them pay fees as well. So there's a lot of opportunity with the ride-along link, but we are happy to help you brainstorm if you've got questions or thoughts as to what could work well for your business. All right, so I showed earlier what informed delivery campaign looks like for just kind of the average user, but here I want to show a side-by-side of how these things get switched out. So this is an example for Mounds. Again, you're going to see the address side, and for them, they had discounts and coupon codes on the address side, which is great when you actually receive the piece. But on here in your preview, it's a little bit small. And so for informed delivery, what if we just swapped out and had the front showing on the end user's mailbox, and then put one of those coupons into the ride-along content so that they're able to take immediate action on it. I wanted to include a couple examples of campaign extension that we've seen in the past. So again, for a nonprofit client, we could look at doing donation links. We had one used for calendars, making sure that they could get reorders in there. So you received your calendar, you loved it this year, let's go ahead and get you scheduled for next year. Or do you want to order some for friends and family? We also could link to exclusive member stories or content about the organization. And then again, an account access or setup. And then for a national retailer, we talked with them and worked with them about, you could have specific location deals or data. So perhaps you're sending the same mailer to everyone on your network, but then based on where that individual is receiving it, they're going to get an in-store coupon that's only valid at the 3 locations that are within 100 miles of them, to really track which locations perform well with direct mail, whereas others maybe aren't performing any better with direct mail and using the ride-along content. You could have multiple campaigns, again, that are tied to a single mail piece, because you're applying that interactive campaign and that ride-along content to the physical piece. So you could have simultaneous campaigns to feature a different product on each one, really see how households in certain areas perform against other zip codes. And then you could use it, use the mailers to do event announcements as well. All right. This is an example of what you're going to receive once your campaign has completed. So it's using the same columns that I showed with the pre-campaign report, but it's showing you how well it performed between the time you ran your saturation report and after you did your mailing. So it's going to break it down. We show both a summarized and a detailed summary of how your campaign performed based on zip code. And I want to make sure that I leave a little bit of time for questions here, but essentially these are the biggest benefits you're getting with informed delivery. So you're offering an open rate that's more than twice that of the industry average. You're generating multiple impressions from a single mail piece, because you've got the physical and then you've got the 2 additional digital pieces, and that's per user. So you could potentially, however many individuals are in that household, you have a single mail piece and then 2 digital per user, or per resident in that household. It drives consumer response with interactive content related to the mail piece. So you've got a call to action that you can actually see if it works. If it's written on the page, you don't necessarily know if someone's acting on that or if they just drove by and happen to have it sitting in the car. Let's see, you have the ability to reach consumers digitally by merely knowing their physical address. So maybe they're a part of your mailing campaigns, but you don't have their email. You're technically skirting around that because USPS is emailing them. It potentially increases your ROI on your direct mail spend. We say potentially just as a caveat, but I can't see how it doesn't increase your ROI because you're at bare minimum getting additional data on how your campaign's performing, and showing you insights for optimization on your mail spend. All right. So the final thing I want to leave you with here, you're leveraging your open rate, you're enhancing the call to action for subscribed users. So that is one thing to think about here is you could do a first informed delivery campaign, encouraging your users to sign up for informed delivery. And then you could do an additional one that actually features your products, because then you know that all of those are in this mailing list. You have a higher saturation rate because you already encourage them to sign up for the USPS tool. And again, you can test how your messages are performing in certain markets versus others. So with that, I will see if anyone has questions on informed delivery or on the process on either of the 2 processes. And I am free to stay on till around 2:15.
Hey, Jen, can you talk a little bit about how informed delivery charges run? So is it a pay every time someone clicks on your color image, or are you paying per number of emails it shows up in? How does that cost work?
So informed delivery is charging you, informed delivery is not charging you for the data. You do need to, I'm trying to remember exactly how this works. So you would submit the group you want to mail to get your pre-campaign saturation report, and there would not be a fee associated with that, but you do have to interpret the data. So TICE does offer to do the pre-saturation report and kind of summarization of that data for you for a very small list processing fee, as well as run your campaign for you. But technically you can run this on your own. There's just a few more complexities than doing EDDM, and you would have to work directly with a USPS mail rep. So we would love to be able to walk you through that and help summarize it for you, because especially on the back end, getting your campaign results afterwards, it gets a little hairy to go through a few thousand zip codes and see how they're performing.
Sure. So if my colored piece is going to show up in 100,000 people's email, is it based on 100,000 people seeing it, or is it how many people of that 100,000 click on it?
No, so we do the list processing fee based on the number you're mailing to. So it's not like a threshold piece. And again, very nominal. I would be happy after this to just send out our pricing for this service. I think it's under $100, but I will send that out afterwards, just as a follow-up.
Okay. I don't see any other questions in chat, but if you guys want to take yourself off of mute, please feel free to do so and ask any questions that you might have.
I answered all of them.
I guess you did.
Okay. Well, what I will do after this is definitely package this up into a little bit more digestible. I know I talked a lot and there was less on screen, but so that you're able to look through information at your leisure. Again, we've got Dean and JJ on here as well. We're happy to walk through, just have a conversation about how you could get started with this. And I'll include our pricing with that as well. But yeah, both tools could be really effective and not a lot of extra effort to make sure that if you're already doing direct mail, you're getting the most out of it.
Perfect. Thank you, Jen. So just a quick note on upcoming chamber events. So Lisa was actually the one that counted these the other day. Apparently we have 10 in the month of April, which is quite a bit for us. A few highlighted in here, we are doing our networking blitz, which is virtual one-on-one networking on April 20th. We have Representative Joe Parisi and his team are coming to talk about the climate action plan that Dane County has implemented and how businesses can save some money there. We have really listened to our members and what they're after as Order 15 came out from Public Health and how things are going there. So we've got a couple really great events lined up for that. I'm going to forget all those details, so I just encourage you to go to the Chamber's website to check those out. But a huge thank you to TDS today for helping us make this possible, to Amplify Digital, and especially to Jen and Tycee for sharing their knowledge and information. Thank you guys for coming. We'd be happy to stay on for anyone else that has questions, but thank you guys for coming today.